platoon back slightly. Steady. Stand still. Now, rear up. Break. And
Ladies and gentlemen, our Acting Commissioner of Police, Mr. Milton, please.
Ready! Shoot down! Up! General salute! Freestyle! Arms! Shoulder! Arms! Out there! Arms! Great! Stand up! East! Shoulder! Arms! Out there! Arms! Stand up! East!
Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister, the Honorable Alan Shassel.
Shoulder! Arms! General salute! Freestyle! Arms! Shoulder! Arms! Out there! Arms! Shoulder! Arms! Royal salute! Freestyle! Arms! Order! Arms! Order! Arms! Shoulder! Arms! Red! We advance in review order. Eye to center! Quick! March!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand.
Hooray! Royal salute! Freestyle! Arms! Shoulder! Arms! Shoulder! Arms! Hooray! Remove headrest! Free chance for the government and people of St. Lucia. Hear them? Hooray! Hear them? Hooray! Hear them? Hooray! Replace headrest! Hooray! Hooray! Shoot!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand.
I wish to congratulate you all. Some of you have completed the transformation from citizen to law enforcement officer, whilst others have transformed from special police constable to police constable. I know you shall receive a lot of great advice as the ceremony goes on, but it would be remiss of me not to start the ball rolling. As a police officer, be inquisitive, be suspicious, be thorough. If you do not possess these traits, I believe you are unfit for duty. You are the first line of defense for your community. So therefore, you must earn their respect by being professional, courteous, and fair, whether on or off duty. Don't believe that it is us against them being the citizenry, for we ourselves are citizens. Citizens bestowed with powers that should be used to maintain law and order, whilst building great relationships with the citizens that we serve. Please follow a path of truth, not deceit. Always remember that right is right, even if no one else is doing it. Wrong is wrong, even if everyone else is doing it. Make sure that you study the laws that govern your actions, for these laws are your sword and shield. Everyone gathered here today is proud of your accomplishment. Continue to make them all proud by being the next generation of super police officers. Police officers who adhere to the law, enforce the law, and live the law.
At this time, when there is increasing public demand to produce good, dedicated, and honest police officers, it is indeed my duty to stand here today to give an account of the present contributions of this institution towards these expectations and demands. It is not as easy as said. I must say that it takes a special blend of skills and qualities to become an effective police officer, because it is a career unlike any other. It is one that combines variety and physical exertion with extensive public contact and a high level of personal responsibility and accountability. While some skills can be taught at the academy, we can only build on existing strengths and aptitudes of individuals. In light of this recognition, the training program was designed adopting the student-centered learning philosophy to allow the students to think about what they do, hear, and see, both in training and operationally. From this, they will develop the habit of reviewing events critically, applying their own judgment and action, and planning to improve both their present and subsequent performance in fulfilling their future roles as serving law enforcement officers. The trainees were selected under the Royal St. Lucia Police Force recruitment policy and procedure. The guiding principles of this policy are transparency, accountability, and fairness. The aim of the initial training program is to ensure that trainees gain the necessary skills, knowledge, attitudes, and abilities which will enable them to fulfill their future roles as police officers in tandem with the strategic objectives of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. The objectives of the initial training program are: 1, to develop an understanding of the police officer's role in society, including concerns for the ethical and rightful use of authority and police powers, discretion and problem-solving techniques, and an appreciation for human values, community policing, and interactions that bring the police and the community together in matters of crime reduction, law enforcement, and order maintenance. 2, to ensure that the recruits are provided with the skills to conduct their duties in a professional manner and to apply policing concepts with assertiveness, confidence, and action, and use of authority. 3, to provide the recruits with the required skills in order techniques, skills in interpersonal techniques, communications and listening skills, and other techniques for providing direction and constructive feedback. To ensure that the recruits can demonstrate an appreciation of the legal process, including criminal and traffic enforcement, and a capacity to analyze problems whilst maintaining the legal rights and dignity of all people in St. Lucia. 5, to ensure that the recruits gain the technical ability to control and manage the use of lethal and non-lethal force within the constraints of professional ethics, police regulations, police standing orders, and guidelines. 6, to ensure that recruits are able to demonstrate the technical capacity to effectively conduct effective police response, patrol efficiently, conduct basic crime scene management, and preliminary investigations. This class consisted of 50 trainees, the oldest being 35 years old, youngest 19. The average age of this course is 24 years old. They were selected from a total of 487 applicants. The selection was under the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Recruitment Policy and Procedure. The training course commenced on October 2nd, 2018. Training was conducted during the weekdays from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., with some training being conducted on weekends. Tony Blower, an expert in self-defense, once said, and I quote, "Training should hurt, but not injure. If there is no pain, there is no fear. If there is no fear, then you are not really training." End of quote. Unfortunately, for unforeseen circumstance, one trainee resigned. The course was a 28-week training course. The trainees completed a full program of physical endurance training, classroom training, firearms training, to prepare them for the challenges of being a police officer. Therefore, the curriculum was divided into 3 stages. The elementary stage comprising modules 1, 2, 3. Module 1 was orientation, 2, administration, 3, introduction to policing. The intermediate stage consisted of 4 modules 4 to 8. Module 4 is policing techniques. Module 5, introduction to criminal offenses. 6, introduction to criminal investigations. 7, handling juveniles. 8, human relations. The final stage includes modules 9 to 12. Module 9, introduction to traffic management. Module 10, the criminal justice system. Module 11, Public Order Act. Module 12, social sciences and community policing. In addition, they received training in self-defense, first aid, weapon training, and drills. Assessment. Assessments were held in the form of examination and assignments at various stages of the training curriculum. Progress tests. The trainees had 4 exams. The purpose of these exams is to ensure that they have a thorough understanding of work done throughout the weeks. It is used as a tool for correctional learning. It is administered midway through each learning stage. The elementary, intermediate, and final exams were administered at the end of each learning stage. Physical training, assessments conducted at the end of the learning stage, self-defense, first aid, weapon training, introduction to language and communication, communication with the hearing impaired. Assessments were administered at the completion of their respective programs. Operational duties. The training program provided the students with the opportunity to perform operational duties alongside various departments. During the period December 10, 2018 and January 5, 2019, the trainees were assigned to various stations as part of an on-the-job training program. Having exposed these trainees to the latest policing skills, techniques, and procedures needed to enhance their career, it is therefore the responsibilities of the members of the organization, especially the senior officers and supervisors to nurture and provide excellent guidance in order for them to realize their proficiency development in a limited period of time. Continuous assessment will also be necessary. The course performance. The course performance results is as follows. The pass average attained was from 85.1% to 59.5%. We had 100% success, and the course average was 74.8%. Community project. As part of our community policing initiative, the trainees and the staff of the academy made monetary contributions to the sum of $6,600. The sum of $3,600 was donated to the Marian Home, and the sum of $3,000 to the St. Lucy's Home at Castries. This course could not have been a success without the continued contribution and hard work of the academy staff, who worked tirelessly in ensuring that today's graduation became a reality. The training team, including Sergeant Thompson, Sergeant 173 Henry, Acting Sergeant 599 Joseph, Acting Corporal 51 Lerish, Acting Corporal 759 Meda, Acting Corporal 46 Daisy. The Secretary, Ms. Rochelle Peter. Your commitment to your job is unsurpassed, and without question, you are a special bunch dedicated to task. The kitchen staff of 5 cooks was challenged with having to prepare our daily comestibles. This was not an easy task under trying circumstances, long hours and inadequate kitchen space and facilities, but you rose to the occasion. Special thanks to the Commissioner of Police, the officer in charge of training, for supporting me, Inspector Innocent and his staff at the Special Services Unit, our administrative officer, Ms. Mary Louison, our assistant administrative officer, Ms. Georgine Christopher, and the staff. Thank you for being involved. Our accountants, Mrs. Linda Jabatis Esnad and Mrs. Anita Alexis, and staff of the accountants department. Our tailor shop, the storekeeper, and all those who contributed in the conduct of this course in one way or the other. The drug unit, serious crimes, scenes of crime, TPP's office, and Crown Prosecution Unit. The garage personnel, and all other departments and individuals who assisted in one way. I say thank you. To you, the graduating class, let me wish you every success in your pursuits and endeavors. I will start by reading from the book of Romans, chapter 14, verse 4, from the English Standard Version Bible. And I quote, "For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer." End of quote. I believe that this scripture is almost wonderfully worded, protect and serve. I think that it does a good job of summing up what a police officer does and the importance of it to God. You must remember that you are only servants. I want to look at 3 things. The first one is justice. It is your moral and legal obligation to serve your community every day without fear or favor. Mercy. It is your moral and legal obligation to remember those in need. Your service is to take care of them. Sometimes they may look like vagrants or sometimes suspects. This is not a choice. It is your duty. You cannot be a warrior for God and treat some people as if they do not deserve mercy. Last, humility. It is your moral and legal obligation to be humble. Humility does not mean that you are weak, but a strong person who loves others. Humility allows you to be a peacemaker. The servant warrior is one who recognizes that he is not better than others just because he has the position. This position is one of servanthood. Service to the point of being willing to lay down one's life for another. To fulfill these duties, you must be prepared. It is my hope that you choose to follow the ethics and guidance of the one who has called us to serve them by serving him. Also remember that we are governed by rules and regulations of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the St. Lucia Constitution Order of 1978. You must never forget the rules, regulations of the organization and your sworn oath. There are consequences to disobedience. From this point forward, until you retire or resign, you will be in the public's eye. Every action you take or don't take will be subject to intense scrutiny. Again, remember, this is a service profession. It is your responsibility to protect and serve our fellow citizens. Never take action based on your emotion. What you do or don't do will have lifelong consequences to the citizens you deal with. Never allow a victim to be victimized a second time due to poor police practices. Every day is a challenge and an opportunity. My advice to you is to embrace it. Every day, you will have the ability to protect the weak and vulnerable, and you will. Every day, you will have the chance to fight crime and foster hope, and you should. And every day, you will be called upon to be courageous, and you must. Mary Frances Berry, a civil rights activist, once said, and I quote, "When you have police officers who abuse citizens, you erode public confidence in law enforcement. That makes the job of the good police officers unsafe." End of quote. So please, go back to your communities and enforce the law. But remember that enforcing the law is only part of the job. The rest of the job is being good family, friends, and neighbors in the community that you serve. Congratulations. I thank you.
SPC 188, Adna Charles. PC 249, Shakim Daniel. WPC 324, Corsel Alien. WPC 219, Malika Flavius. PC 184, Malon Flavius. WPC 219, Malika Flavius. WPC 156, Jamila Francis. PC 153, Luciano Guard. PC 189, Keyami Gonzak. WPC 427, Kanasha Gopal. WPC 273, Shania Haru. PC 561, Jaraz Jah. WPC 259, Idela Joseph. PC 432, Lawson Lord. WPC 334, Aisha Michelle. PC 530, Ashad Parton. PC 319, Calix Risme. WPC 133, Nadezma Samuel. PC 347, Kimfer Smith. PC 200, Shovey Smith. PC 231, Nikki Son. PC 168, Stanley Motthead. PC 248, Matthew Taylor. WPC 405, Colin William. PC 165, Micaiah Alexander. WPC 1 WPC 190, Casey August. PC 515, Anthony Averill. PC 352, Kevin Charles. PC 228, Killian Emmanuel. PC 406, Damian Imanas. PC 413, Nathan Francis. WPC 417, Erlin Goddard. PC 350, Ike Harrow. PC 535, Benedict Hippolyte. PC 213, Alan Holder. PC 318, Myron Junkie. WPC 197, Safi Justin. PC 328, Ryan Les Forest. PC 275, Jamil Maffrin. WPC 605, Sarah McFarlane. WPC 287, Sanio Monrose. PC 235, Kian Nicholas. PC 182, Chris Peter. WPC 329, Yasmin Polios. PC 521, Lindsay Rosary. PC 171, Laverne Simeon. WPC 263, Karen Sonson. WPC 511, Toya Wicks. WPC 431, Nadel Wilson. That concludes the certificate. Thank you very much.
Luciano God. Thank you, Miss Minal. Class 1, Woman Police Constable 424 Naisha Bafelmi and Police Constable 561 Jerez Jean. Still in debating, we have the award for the best speaker, Woman Police Constable 190 Casey Ogist. Thank you, Mr. Xavier. For the next award, I call on Mr. Jean-Claude Amide to assist. Thank you so much, Mr. Amide. The next set of awards will be presented by Sergeant 173 Henry.
Mr. Perfect.
The next award, Best Physical Training Female, Woman Police Constable 133 Nadezhda Samuel. Best at Self-Defense, we have two awardees. That's PC 153 Luciano Guard and PC 319 Calix Rizmi.
Time management.
And Best at Self-Defense Female, Woman Police Constable 424 Naisha Bafelmi. Police Constable 406 Damian Imanus. Best rifle shot, we have two individuals, Police Constable 213 Elian Holder and PC 231 Nikki Sonson.
Don't drop the ball. That guy. Stylish. Always so fresh.
Police Constable 249 Shakim Daniel. Colonel, Lieutenant, can you please hold on? For the best police duty subjects, Police Constable 248 Matthew Taylor. Woman Police Constable 329 Yasmin Polius. Most disciplined student, Police Constable 350 Ika Harrow. Ike Harrow. Ike Harrow. And second place at best recruit throughout course 36 goes to second place recruit throughout course 36, Special Police Constable 188 Adna Charles. And for the last and most intriguing award, I would like to call on our Prime Minister, the Honorable Alan Shasney, to assist with the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, your best recruit throughout course 46 and baton of honor goes to Police Constable 153 Luciano Guard.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I was asked here today to speak on the behalf of these 49 recruits and the journey we shared together. Please, let me take this opportunity to do just that. Our journey to becoming men and women dedicated to serving this country began way before the commencement of this course. For many of us, becoming a police officer was something that was already woven into the fabrics of our minds. The training process was a mere formality, for we were already servants of the state mentally. On the 1st of October 2018, 50 St. Lucian souls were given the pleasure of commencing training as Course 36 at the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Academy. For the next 28 weeks, we went through the most demanding period of our lives. On day 1, D-Day, we all had a taste of what training school would be demanding from us. Exemplary discipline, nothing less. Or there would be correctional events. We, fresh out of our homes, had no idea that the responsibility of everything on compound was the recruits before it was an instructor's. But this idea was nudged into our minds after a transgression that day. Nudged, for we found ourselves holding our own arms parallel to the ground for about an hour and a half. Thank you, Corporal Lerish. Our first introduction to the man who would torment our lives for the next 28 weeks. We could have never known that our arms were so weighty. The transition into the life at training school was not an easy one. It was very onerous to wake at 4:45 a.m. to perform fatigues around the compound. This was the name for our morning cleanup sessions. Some of us, though, found ways of making the transition much easier. The barrack bathrooms would somehow always be filled during fatigues time. The art of induced diarrhea was easily mastered by the first week. I must say, I I performed that art as well. Grueling physical training or self-defense classes followed fatigues. One class having the pleasure of learning life-saving techniques, whilst the other would perform painstaking exercises on the parade square, like the push-ups or the mountain climbers. But maybe our most notable form of exercise was our morning runs. Each morning, one class would find themselves running through the city, singing cadences, whilst the public looked on. We ran and we sang, we ran and we sang. Maybe this was why our favorite cadence started with the line, "Here we go again, same old thing again." We must give acknowledgement, however, to the walking sick crew, the small squad who could never perform the full activities because of injury, who, more often than not, started their morning with a limp on their right leg. But somehow, as the day progressed, the limb gravitated to the left or vice versa. Walking sick, we salute you. Our classroom session were probably the hardest transitions. However, after the tiring physical activities from the early morning, we were to be attentive in class from 9 to 12:30. This was especially hard for some, like Simeon, who would always be sleeping. He would tell the instructor, "Sir, I'm not sleeping, I'm just resting my eyes. My mind is still awake," but could never remember the last 3 words in class. Or for Je, whose excuse would be that the AC is drying his eyes, so he needs to keep it closed. These two had nothing on the legendary Rizmi, who would sleep for the entire class, be it morning, noon, or night, but still ace his exams when the time came. Lunch was one of the most welcome periods of our scheduled program. The cooks, Miss Marilyn, Miss Maida, Miss Annie, Mr. Dumaville, who, led by the their head cook, Miss Anne, were presumably the most punctual of all staff, as lunch would always be ready 15 minutes after our arrival, be that 12:30 or 2 o'clock. They always followed the 15-minute rule. Their skills as cooks were resounding, as the food they prepared was scrumptious enough that a few would head back to the serving area in order to sneak another piece of chicken. Isn't that right, Miss Francis? It is said that after joy comes sorrow. Though the event that follows lunch was a melancholy one, it was one of importance, as its purpose is to produce a law enforcement officer who is proud, alert, and obedient, and also to provide the basis for good teamwork. We were to have the afternoon drill sessions. Erect and square to the front, we stood in the afternoon heat, working on our ones and standing perfectly still under 2 frees. Sergeant Thompson, Sergeant Joseph, Corporal Daisy, Corporal Lerish, and Corporal Mida would work hard to ensure that our drilling was immaculate. Corporal Daisy, who was the drill instructor for Class 2, worked tirelessly to ensure that his class could about turn on the march. This was evident as the sound of the recruits created a song on the parade square. About turn in. Left, right, left, forward, about turn in. Could be heard for hours, ensuring that the standards of training school were met. Drill session felt like a lifetime. Though only 3 hours, the hot sun ensured that we formed and maintained the dreadful drills V, a patch of skin on our chest from where the uniform does not shelter the rays of the sun. And as you guys could appreciate, you could have seen that we, the recruits, had a hard time in the sun. The hours between 5 and 10 p.m. were to be our free time, but many or all of us were working hard to be immaculate the next morning, all to prevent the dreadful booking at morning muster, all except our dear K. Paso, who took free time at heart, who always says, and I quote, "Gassa, you want to tell me what to do in my free time, man?" He However, always got ready for morning muster, but could never escape those dreadful 3 words. Got him, sir. So much so that his name was always pre-written on the book. We would have never been able to become the police officers you see before you today if it were not for the guidance and strong encouragement of our dear instructors. Our commandant, Miss Lucenta Daisy Delor, who, though we recruits rarely saw her involvement in our day-to-day affairs, was the most influential and knowledgeable person on compound. She would see and hear everything which happened around us. Our dear chief instructor, Mr. Kev Thompson, who, stern at times, would never miss the opportunity to crack a good joke after handing out a fresh booking. Sergeant Aloysius Joseph was the backbone of our course. He always had the well-being of each and every recruit at heart. He would always have us hold it there for physical training. Because of him, we always burned once during our runs and kept getting fitter on the reserves. Corporal Linus Lerish was the strong arm of justice, a commando at heart, who always ensured that duty was done over all things. He ensured that the parade square was never lonely at night and always felt the warm heat emanating from the recruits' bodies as they performed their correctional activities, usually the push-ups. I can still hear him asking, "Where are the government's keys?" Corporal Gideon Daisy was an instructor who always enforced the standing orders. He made it almost impossible for the recruits to break barracks, as the bell would ring on the hour, every hour, as long as he was duty officer. He was a role model to many recruits, as his haircut, the Pope cut, was very popular amongst the midst of the guys in Dom 1. Our dear Corporal Patenda Mida, our representation on the fancy drill squad, she showed us that dedication and practice can make a drill expert out of all of us, and that hot sun honestly does not play. I want to thank one more person from the general rank from the police force. I want to thank Sergeant Henry, for without him, I don't think we would continue to be as safe as we are on a regular day basis. He taught us self-defense, and I think we're much better police officers for it. I want us all to join in a round of applause for all the instructors of the Police Force Academy. Apart from our duty-bound instructors, I want to acknowledge the impact in which the outside lecturers had on we, the recruits. Mr. Jerry George, our language and communications lecturer, enhanced our skills as communicators. His lessons, coupled with that of Mr. James Xavier, our debate lecturer, made us into the effective speakers that we are today. I really do hope that I'm doing them both proud. Who can forget Miss Vanessa Menal, who, alongside with Mr. Hamish and her all-but sister Vanessa, introduced us to the world of ASL, American Sign Language. This was to improve the communication and relationship between the deaf community and the members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Our 28 weeks at this prestigious compound was never dull at any point in time, but there were instances which just stood out from the rest. We were detailed to perform patrol duties for the Christmas season. For some of us, this was the action we were waiting for. For what amounted to a month, we patrolled the streets of St. Lucia, supervised by our instructors and other senior police officers. This period, though great for us, was even better for the general public, as they felt an added sense of security with 49 young, strong, handsome and beautiful recruits patrolling their streets. The 22nd of February came, and we got another opportunity to feel what it means to be full-fledged police officers. We had the pleasure of being in a platoon on our nation's 40th Independence Parade, a momentous occasion in our lives, a time to showcase the immaculate drilling taught to us by our instructors. Momentous as it was nothing compared to the impact of Tear Gas Day. A dreadful but beautiful day. A real-life oxymoron. We got the unfortunate pleasure of being exposed to CS gas as a course. Though some of us were overwhelmed, and I mean really overwhelmed, by the effects of the gas and tried desperately to jump through windows or coerce the instructors to let us live, the majority of us stood firm and sang our cadence through the burn. Who can forget, though, the drills competition, the drill event in which chooses the best at drills, the competition in which Larry, our dear Larry over there, with immense sharpness, threw his rifles into God's hands, literally, in order to secure him the win over all the other contestants, including myself. Congratulations, Larry. You really are the king. Our time at training school showed us that teamwork was essential in our day-to-day running as police officers. Bonds were formed, some closer than others, each dorm forming a brotherhood or sisterhood that will last the test of time. Some of us lucky recruits even got the opportunity to be given nicknames, names such as Larry, Joint Account, Obozo, Obazo, Chocolate, Michelin, and even Ash Wednesday, as I'm called, were coined. Some of us were even blessed with the pleasure of having multiple nicknames like Thing, Humpty, and Turtle. All these experiences made us the individuals we are today. These 8 months molded us into great police officers. But I want to remind my fellow colleagues that, as Mahatma Gandhi said, and I quote, "The proof of the pudding is in the eating." Let us be the best pudding St. Lucia has ever ate. Let us leave this prestigious academy and be the best officers we can be. Let us be a credit to our force. I thank you.
I'm still passionately interested in what my fellow humans are up to. For me, a day spent monitoring the passing out parade is a day well spent. Of course, you are thinking these are the words of myself, but they are the words of Gary Trudeau. But nonetheless, we can say safely that from the moment you first commence your training, it has been on our minds, especially your parents and loved ones, as to what exactly you have been up to at this training academy. I'm very much familiar with what actually happened during your time in recruit training, although I was not there on all occasions, but I went through it too. It was not games night, eating pizza, movie nights, beach picnics, playing dominoes, sleeping all day, or spending the day at the tuck shop enjoying yourselves. No, it was not that. It was really hard work, pain, stress, anger, tiredness, and telling one another, oh, I can't wait for this course to finish. Yes, I told you I knew what it was. Today, in spite of all that you have been through and the times when you almost quit, you are finally here. You made it to the finish line, and today you are able to reap the rewards. I would like you to look at your instructors in the eye, especially the physical instructor, and tell them, I made it, I survived, and I'm eventually leaving this place. As you commence your journeys months ago, many of you did not realize what you were getting into. But along the way, you were introduced to policing and what it entailed. This is an important moment in your life where you are transitioning from civilian, and some of you who are already SPCs, to a real police officer. You are now changing gears, and a lot of responsibilities and powers will be entrusted in you. You all came here at zero, whether you were an SPC, you were a new recruit, but everybody started at base zero. You are now law enforcement officers and members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. You were lectured on some very key areas, such as human rights, customer service, professionalism, and discipline. They are not to be left here. You could leave your clothes, you could leave whatever you want, but these are not supposed to be left here. But it shall remain with you when you venture into your career at the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. You must respect the fundamental rights and freedom of all, no matter the race, religion, political affiliation, or whatever economic bracket you may think they belong. You need to be courteous and professional in the execution of your duties. You have to treat others the way that you would like to be treated. Wear that uniform with pride and dignity, displaying a high level of respect to others whilst ensuring that the rule of law is observed. As you live here today, remember, a lot will be expected of you. You are no longer just the young man or young woman from living in your community or hanging out on the block, but you are now entrusted with the extra responsibility in keeping the country and its people safe. Additionally, I need to caution you that you will be held accountable for your actions. Therefore, ensure that you operate within the parameters of the law. You need to take action, but you need to observe the rule of law in taking whatever action. You must not be too hasty to act, but you must think before you have acted. Probably the action you are about to take, if you just stop a while and think of it, it may be the right action. I am very delighted to welcome you to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and would like to encourage you to keep pushing yourselves to the limit. Continue to develop yourselves, and remember, always be an asset to the organization. And ask yourself, and it's not just once, every day, every morning, am I a credit to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force? I wish to applaud you for the sacrifice and service as you answered the call and undertake the strenuous but noble task of law enforcement. As I close, let me leave you with the words of Douglas Adams, who once said, "To give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money, and that is sincerity and integrity." Having said these words, I would like to say a special thank you to the Prime Minister and the government for having you all here today, these 48 recruits. 49, oh, I'm happier. So, I wish the persons on the left and on the right were all recruits, along with them. This would give us the extra personnel needed to fight crime in St. Lucia. However, I must say we are very grateful for the efforts, and I can assure you that these recruits, when they come under our hands, they will make St. Lucia proud. I would also like to thank the commandant and her staff for developing them into police officers that we know would assist us when the time is needed. Now let me, before I leave, let me inform you that by next week you would know your postings, okay? Yes, if you are from library, don't expect to work in library, because at the interview, they would send you to work on Jimmy, and you said, yes, I'll be there. Okay? If you are Adventist, you would say, sir, it's a service. I'll work on Saturdays. But we have experienced that whilst you are in there, when you push it or you throw it in our faces, today is my Sabbath. Can I get the time off? A police officer, we respect, as we said, the race, religion, everything, but we have an organization to run. You have chosen to come on board, and you shall remain on board and do what it takes. Every time I'm about to leave, there are certain things that I must say. Some of you come watch your hairs, the female, the male, nicely done. But somewhere down the line, you believe you need to have locks to be in the force. Right. It will not happen. We will not allow it to happen. Okay? You know what organization you are coming in. If you want to grow locks, you do not come to that organization because the uniform and the locks don't mesh. And there are many things, especially in the line of discipline. I know it was taught to you, I need not say it. However, one of the things that I would like you to do is get hold of that standing order. I know one was issued to everybody there. Am I correct? Right. It was issued at training school, but it's not for training school, it's for the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. The saluting, the marching, all these things has to be displayed in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. It's not a training school thing, okay? So having said this, enjoy yourselves, your family are there, enjoy the time with them. May God bless you.
Allow me to begin my short address by conveying to you the words of encouragement and congratulations from the Minister for Home Affairs, Justice and National Security, the Honorable Herman Francis. I quote, "Dear graduates, this is your minister sending his best regards and congratulations on your graduation ceremony. You have joined a very noble profession and you are fortunate to have been given that wonderful opportunity to serve your people. It is an awesome task you have undertaken. Follow that you have been taught at the academy and put into practice with every opportunity that presents itself. Remember that every citizen and visitor to our island must be treated humanely. Their human rights must be of paramount importance to the success of your profession. Within the force, you will encounter good, bad, and indifferent officers. Stay true to the ethics of your profession of integrity, honesty, and accountability. Be the fresh face of the police force. You have already been exposed to some work that you would have been undertaken whilst performing your duties in the city castries. I really wish that I could be with you on this momentous occasion, but unfortunately, I cannot because of the medical issue. Rest assured that I am there with you in spirit. I pray that the Almighty God will give you strength, guide you, and protect you as you go about your duties. Congratulations to everyone. End of quote. The Department of Home Affairs and National Security are confident that all 49 of you will help remedy the strain by making a positive impact in our society. Allow me to reiterate the public assurances that the government is working to ensure that the police is equipped with the tools and resources to fight crime on several fronts, including with the use of cutting-edge technology, rehabilitation programs, and preventative measures. Very soon, there will be another significant initiative coming on stream regarding the closed-circuit TV project that the Minister, Francis, is very excited about. That accomplishment will strengthen citizens' security, but more on this in the near future. On that note, accept my congratulations and best wishes in your future endeavors. I thank you very much.
Today, I feel especially privileged to address you, graduates, on what is undoubtedly the most memorable day of your careers. This marks the culmination of months of effort and sacrifice under the watchful gaze of your instructors who have seen your transition from ordinary citizens to custodians of law and order. I have noted the theme of this graduation, which reads, "Your journey as champions of change." This most apropos theme is underpinned by a simple yet powerful mantra, which I believe can serve as the key to your self-actualization goals of a successful career in law enforcement. I deliberately lowered my voice. Let me read it again. This is not a theme that I chose, and I want to give full credit to its author. It reads again, "Our journey as champions of change." And I want you to reflect on this for a moment. At its heart is the recognition by your superiors that the primary driver of any positive change in the ethos of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force lies with you. It is you who embody the aspirations of every member of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And consequently, you are expected to be nothing less than true exemplars of the highest standards of policing. It all begins with each of you maintaining as your credo the duty to leave this institution better than you entered it. It involves attending to every aspect of your life as a police officer with a temperament and with a sense of duty when deployed, and being an example to your community and colleagues. The government of St. Lucia recognizes and is appreciative of the tremendous effort put in by all police officers in executing their duties, even under trying and challenging circumstances. Their willingness to go beyond just work and effect change in communities, whether it be reading to students or painting elderly homes, speak to the caliber of the individual members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And you graduates are now part of a fraternity, and there is an expectation that you will continue this noble tradition. The Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance in this year's budget address, delivered on the 15th of April, identified citizen security as one of the key pillars necessary for the attainment of sustainable growth by the year 2022. In fact, the Prime Minister set as a critical target of a 45% reduction in serious crime through such measures as increased patrols and a stronger police presence. The strategic priorities of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force for 2019 to 2020 also echo similar sentiments in terms of reducing criminal activities, maintaining public confidence and trust through greater community policing. The international community has also set some global standards and calls to action which are aimed at ending poverty, protecting the planet, and ensuring peace and prosperity. These Sustainable Development Goals highlight the nexus between sustainable growth and development and the maintenance of peace, justice, and adherence to strong institutions based on the rule of law. Interestingly, Sustainable Development Goal 16 speaks to the promotion of peaceful and inclusive societies. Such a discussion cannot be divorced from conversations of citizen security, safety, human rights, and the role of civil society. So in a practical sense, when the Prime Minister and the international community focus on citizen security, they are calling for action on the part of the justice system, security, which speak to the police, prevention, which speaks to education, and government. Your role as recruits involves adapting and becoming responsible for the reforms in the area of citizen security, focused policing, and strategies to be implemented in St. Lucia. Robert Mugger and Catherine Aguirre-Toubon, in their seminal work, Citizen Security in Latin America, in April 2018, noted, and I quote, "In contrast to traditional law and order approaches to crime, citizen security privileges a more comprehensive and people-centered conceptualization of security and safety, including, as the DPS said, a more data-driven policing, smarter approaches to criminal justice, alternatives to incarceration, and investments in primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention." So you'll be driving that initiative. There is a general consensus among the experts that the role of the police in controlling crime will always be limited due to resources, as said by Mr. Daisy, and that law enforcement must be complemented with crime prevention strategies. Police training or certification alone will not engender the culture that we seek to cultivate within the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. This can only be achieved when you seek to embrace, reinforce, and demonstrate the values taught at training school. You are encouraged also to be continuously innovative as you carry out your duties and be ever vigilant for areas where your service can result in positive change. I therefore believe that the intervention of the government, to increase the capacity within the police force is both significant and timely, and it is my hope that you, the new recruits, will serve as a catalyst for the continued regeneration of the police force, that you will exemplify, in short, what it means to be champions of change. The opportunity for change resides in a simple strategy, for example, that of community policing, which I referred to earlier. This strategy implies that there is a shift towards granting greater autonomy to the officer. It means then that the possibilities exist for the forging of synergies between the police and community, which collaboratively will result in creative ways of solving crime and thus enhancing citizen security. Few criminal cases advance very far without some level of public cooperation, and detection of crimes would be hampered without police public complaint. However, there are some notable obstacles to community policing. Specifically, police officers who commit abuses, rendering it impossible to win the trust of the community. that the action to further exacerbate the challenges at my chambers as it relates to litigating matters on behalf of the police where abuses of the rule of law arise. I implore you, do not become part of the problem, but rather act as a conduit for change and continue to observe the tenets of effective policing, which include adherence to professionalism, responsiveness, accountability, and focus on team. There is a saying that if you want to see change in the world, start by being the change yourself. If you want respect, be respectful. If you want trust, you give trust. Be that change you as police officers want in our society. The change we seek in our society as police officers and citizens can only be achieved if we all buy into that process. As police officers, you must share the vision of change, communicate the vision of change, and most importantly, build working teams around that change. Everything around you will adjust when all members of the police family are equally invested in the overall goal and vision of the department. You become more flexible, responsive, and we adapt from problem thinking to opportunity building. The philanthropist Andrew Carnegie, who described teamwork as a fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. And so I beseech you to foster teamwork as recruits, learn from each other, and remain accountable. I say to you, take advantage of all opportunities presented on this journey and allow it to serve as a wealth-building experience. But I must clarify, though, that wealth-building alluded here does not refer solely to financial rewards, but more importantly, it should emphasize the added value to people's lives and relationships as you embark on this career path in policing. In closing, it would be gravely remiss of me to fail to caution you to be ultra vigilant against those criminal elements in our society who are also seeking new recruits. I assure you, they will reveal themselves when you are most vulnerable. And once ensnared, you will be bound to do their bidding for the remainder of your careers, to the peril of not only yourselves, but to your families, your colleagues, and your communities. You must maintain situational awareness and learn to identify and avoid those innocuous overtures or grooming techniques which these individuals use to earn your trust so that they may achieve their dastardly ends. So in other words, you become a pawn to persons who work against the motto of this noble institution and the interests of our society as a whole. So I implore you, I beg you, remember above all else that I have said earlier. This simple yet profound quote I picked up many years ago, which was said by NCAA basketball coach John Wooden. He said, "The true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching." Be true to your pledge, bring honor to yourselves and the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I pray that God protect you and fortify you throughout your journey of service to our nation. Thank you, and congratulations, Course 36.
The first set of people I need to recognize are your parents, family. And I think it's important that you stand and acknowledge them. let it never be forgotten, the sacrifice that your family members have made and will continue to make in support of your career choice. And I'm certainly not going to attempt to compete against the Attorney General's speech. I think if I was a wise man, I would acknowledge it, acknowledge you, and sit down. Because it is a very inspiring and very truthful speech. And the relationship that you have with your family is the relationship that I'm asking you to continue with the public of St. Lucia, for them to be your family, to think of them as your family. I've changed my speech after hearing the Attorney General's and the Acting Commissioner speech. And I want to say to you that you are more than police officers today. You're going to find yourself that you are a nurse, that when you're on the beat and you're walking to people's homes, that you're going to have to be cognizant of what's going on and who needs help. You're going to be a social worker, that in order to get people to trust you, that you must not only give them your trust, but you must show them that you care. And in caring is understanding of what's taking place in their own home. You'll find at times that you're going to be a fireman, that you're going to be the first person on a scene and may have to do things outside of the call of duty that you were trained for and have to be that first responder. Very importantly, you are going to be a mentor. That because of this uniform that you're wearing and because of this fraternity that you are part of, people immediately are going to be looking up to. And it's important, especially for young people, that you take up that challenge and be able to allow them to genuinely see you as a hero. You are going to be a tour guide, meaning that you need to know your country. There are times in which people are going to come up to you because they're going to see you as that person of authority and ask you questions about your country or where to go. And you need to know where to tell them to go. That is part of what we are as St. Lucia, in that we invite millions of people to come to our island every year. And they look to you as that sign of stability. I want to say that my government is absolutely committed to improving and empowering the police force. And like everyone else who has spoken prior to me, that you have a huge burden on your shoulders as the new young recruits coming in to start symbolizing the change in the police. Not because of just what we're offering, but because of the change of crime. So we have young people who have always been members of gangs, but now have become commercially vested in gangs. Meaning it's not just about attitude anymore, but it's the ability to be able to distribute drugs for profit. And their focus on protecting those revenues. And unfortunately, some of those young men who we all love, we must love, don't feel the same way, aren't as indebted to the country or feel the country has served them, and therefore may act not the same way you would, or the same way that your friends in your neighborhood would have acted. And you're going to have to confront that challenge. We do have an increase in crime in our country. We've seen in the last couple of months an increase in robberies and burglaries. And we believe that we have to address this by increasing the presence of police men and women in the neighborhoods to reassure the citizens of this country that we take this very seriously. And there are going to be times that you're going to be frustrated because the justice system doesn't always work the way you think it does. Just because you think that you've caught somebody committing a crime doesn't mean that person is going to pay the time. We still have to collect the evidence. We still have to go through a prosecution because everybody is entitled to their day in court. And there may be times that you know that you've caught somebody and they're very guilty and they're going to get off. And that's the system that we have not only here in St. Lucia, but in the rest of the world. But you have to remain focused and understand that sometimes you're going to lose the battle, but the intention is to be able to win the war. Because ultimately, the war that we're trying to win here is a war in which we don't have to arrest anyone. I want you to envision that. A war in which St. Lucians become their own policemen. And that people are not committing these horrendous crimes. And that there would be no need for as many judges as we have. Now, in order for that to happen, it means that we must change our own social programs. But it also means, as policemen, that you must become the nurse. You must become the social worker. You must become a mentor in your communities. Because you cannot genuinely do your job properly unless you have the community's trust on your side. And certainly I heard everybody say it here today, that may God be with you. But that's not enough. That's not enough. It is that we have to seek an attitudinal change in our country as to how we deal with crime and how we respect each other as human beings. And that's part of being the mentor who you are. So it would be remiss of me at this moment if I did not also congratulate the Royal St. Lucia Police Force members here that gave you the training. And I pray they gave you the best training. One thing I can say in listening to you when you were cheering each other and receiving your awards, that I thought Parliament was tough. But I see the crowd here today is even tougher. So I'm so happy that you were able to come through this with a sense of humor and the level of camaraderie that you have. And may that continue with you, that you see the glass as being half full and not as half empty. And already you are heroes in my eyes, and I believe in the rest of everybody's eyes, for choosing this incredibly difficult career. It's not a career that you join to become a millionaire. Not necessarily a career that you join that you believe that you're going to be celebrated throughout the country as a hero. And many times you're going to find yourself being cursed. If you've pulled somebody over for a traffic incident, if you've asked somebody who's jaywalking to stop jaywalking, and people are going to criticize and ridicule you. And you have to hold your head high and know there's a right way to do things. So this is not an easy career. And so I just want to thank you on behalf of all of the citizens of this country for agreeing to join this program. And I look forward to seeing that you serve it as well as I see that you are serving us here today. So again, may God bless you. And thank you very much for what you've done and will do.
duties honestly and faithfully, without fear, favor, or prejudice. I shall serve my country with the highest level of integrity and professionalism. I shall display a high level of pride and dignity, and at all times uphold a positive image of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. This I pledge.
All right.